But all right. Let's get to it though, man. We're already talking about Elden Ring. The news is slow as far as gaming is concerned, and rightfully so. I mean, not too many folks want to hop out the gate and reveal things before Summer's Games Fest and whatever other conferences are coming at the end of this week and next week. So understandable, but from software, from software had a preview event. One day me or some other people in the game Illuminati will be invited to these things, because this would have been something I would love to. And I remember we had the plug for Bandai Namco back in the day. I miss it. But anyways, so some influencers and journalists were invited to LA for the Bandai Namco event for Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, and they had a preview. And today marks the embargo where everyone got to talk about it. So previews are coming out. And with that being said, let's get into what we have seen. We're going to watch a video. Maximilian Dude actually did a preview event. I haven't watched other people's stuff so far, and I've been seeing on Twitter some leaks have been coming out too with some more gameplay. But I watched Max's video on his thoughts on Elden Ring, so we'll watch that one. But I want to get on first. Some more detailed information. On this, so you all can see better here. So this comes from Shinobi, very well renowned on Twitter /X. But here are some of the details on Shadow of the Erdtree. So he says, stepping out into the new realm of shadows area feels like the first time that you enter Limgrave. It feels expansive with and dense with content. The ulterior goal is following Michaela's crosses as the main critical story path. Now, when we get to this third one, they said that there are over, well, actually the fourth one, they said there are over 10 full bosses plus additional side bosses. But this fourth one, they said that there are over 100 new weapons to find and 8 new weapon types. Like, what? That is a lot, man. There's already a lot of weapons in Elden Ring just as the base game, but over 100 new weapons. Now, I'm not saying all of them are going to be good, because there are a lot of crappy, just basic weapons, but still, over 100 new weapons and 8 new weapon types is pretty insane. Once I saw that, I was like, wow, like this is that's pretty expansive, man. I don't know. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I'm super excited about that. Like that just means that there are going to be a ton more builds that you can do. There gonna be a ton more builds that you can do. So it's gonna be like we're playing a brand new game as far as like what we're going to discover in word of mouth here. So that's super exciting. Heavy. So we're talking about some of the weapons here. A heavy smith's grip axe is a new weapon that can be thrown with any cost or resource attached, making it an effective choice. The backhand blade can be split into dual-wielded swords to stab enemies in their sides. Like, again, those two weapons alone fire the 25-hour DLC. It might be longer than that. To be honest. We'll see. We'll end up seeing. Martial art. This is another one that had me excited. There is a new weapon type that lets you go barehanded with heavy punches and swinging kicks, which can also be assigned a skill. Leaping through the air and dishing out flurry of kicks is one example. Like, just that alone, that too. That's like a brand new way to play this game. You tell me you can pull up with the hands? You can pull up with the hands here? Like, wow. Bellurat is a large fortress. What up, Paladin? Bellurat is a large fortress dungeon between the sides of Stormvale Castle and Castle Morn. Lots of optional paths. The martial art build enters me a lot of facts. New baddies like small and lower scorpions, gray birds, hatchet wooden ghosts, heavy armor knights, etc. One of the bosses is a divine beast, a dancing lion from the trailers. Alternates between ice and lightning powers, forcing you to adapt. Shadow Realm Blessing, new optional system that uses consumables, Erdtree fragments, and applies a stackable buff that negates some incoming damage and increases the damage you cause to opponents. So that one's interesting too. We'll have to see exactly what that entails here. We'll see what that system is going to be like. So there's just some of the details from Shinobi that are going to make like top 10 new build before going right. Exactly. You already know, Taco. You already know. So that's super cool. I'm like, wow, over 100 new weapons. It's gonna be dope. So let's watch a preview of what Maximilian Dude had here. And then we'll continue along. All right.
What's up, dudes? Max here, back with some impressions of another game. We got a couple going up today, and this one is pretty substantial as it's probably one of the biggest DLCs for a game ever.
You've been cooking for the last 2 years.
Elden Ring. Last week, we got the opportunity to go down to LA and not that far away from where I live and play some Elden Ring thanks to Bandai Namco. A big shout out to them for inviting me. And yeah, Elden Ring, obviously, game of the year.
That's gonna be another like fire giant boss.
Continues to be one of the GOATs. I said at that point it's going to go back 10 years before and win every game of the year, and 10 years after and win every game of the year. And who knows? It might just happen after this because the
what up, Super?
This game seems pretty damn good. So let's talk a bit about it. I haven't been keeping up a ton with Elden Ring just in general, story-wise, lore-wise, that kind of stuff. We're going in from a kind of a fresh perspective, at least on my end, where I beat the game. I did the majority of the events in the game, got the majority of stuff, at least on the first 150-something hour playthrough. And I loved it, absolutely loved it. Did not have a commitment to go back as that felt kind of daunting. But over the past few days, we've been sort of dabbling back into Elden Ring.
This game looks phenomenal. It does.
This about this. I will give you guys some impressions because of that, I really enjoy the first time experience with these Souls games, and I'm going to be there day one, obviously, because I want to really absorb all of this. But I'm going to.
You say, is that even a boss or just a new giant type enemy? I don't know. The way that it looks like from the trailer that we saw, that looks like just a regular boss, but we shall see, because it kind of gives the vibe that it's not a boss, but it might be. It might be a regular boss who's just a fire giant type, and that's what it kind of seemed like to me. So we'll see.
Give you some impressions based on a relative limited experience I had. I didn't try to go in there and try to solve everything and do everything. More so just be like, so what about this is really different than Elden Ring proper? And there is a couple of differences, at least in the initial path that I chose, because again, this is a game with a lot of places you can go, a lot of alternating paths. I effectively went to like the left as a result of the Site of Grace.
Bro, these like some trolls or something. They beating up on somebody.
It's a big, sort of like big zone and area and level. I'm gonna see where this takes me and go fight the final boss.
Like that weapon there, I'm assuming that's like a fully automatic type of like crossbow or something.
And I did that. And the thing I did notice right at the start is that at least in this preview build, they give you
like knee swords are cool too.
A character with enough stats to kind of manipulate and play with everything.
They know the sword that the dual wielding sword that Shinobi was talking about.
These have been featured in the presentation,
and it seemed like this is going to be dexterity there.
Gameplay trailers and stuff, like the dual blades, or each individual, almost like tonfa blades that characters carry. There's a lot of stuff. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
DLC win game of the we gonna see.
I think I ended
we gonna see.
Relatively generic but new, sort of cool.
If Cyberpunk can, I think the Elden Ring can.
There's one thing I gotta say, and I don't remember this entirely from Elden Ring, the first one, or at least the initial vanilla version of the game, where a lot of the weapons that they gave us in here had the ability for you to throw them, or for them to be turned into projectiles in some way. There were throwing daggers, there was a spear that could also be tossed with the R2 button. There is like this magic mist sort of move that we've seen in the trailers and stuff like that. There was a lot of stuff in here that acted as not just a close range weapon, but also a projectile attack.
I like that too. So he said like there's spears, it's a mist attack, they're throwing daggers. So we'll have to see like how those mechanics end up being like in there. Shout out to Corliss coming through with the 69 months. Hey yo, 69 months. Appreciate you, but that's super cool. I like that.
And I thought that was kind of fascinating. I thought they're sort of like, clearly you can play Elden Ring a billion ways, and accessibility is one of the names of the game for the most part. But I thought it was kind of cool that there's even more sort of ways that they're trying to open that up in some way. So one thing I got to say is, like, did any of the experience that I
like, yo, like, yeah, like you was just like this and did. It did the jump attack. That's like,
even though we did get about a couple of hours, I did not go to every single area, every nook and cranny, and try to explore that therein, or even look for story stuff. I kind of didn't.
I wonder, was that a
spoil
means to
a
parry,
ton
or
of
was
a
he just
large
blocking,
variety of
just doing the
areas.
straight block?
So I mostly stuck to one path and one boss. And as you're probably going to hear from the majority of people, again, this was the boss that we all eventually ran into as well. So long story short,
Dang, bro, I did a whole combo
with the same general mindset, where I did not want to use summons or like Ashes of War, or not Ashes of War, I think it's the actual, you know, physical calling of spirits and stuff like that to help you out. I didn't really want to use that, so I was like, all right, I'm just gonna stick this and go over there and find something and whoop its ass.
Man, look at these worlds, man.
The zone was
these
relatively
areas crazy,
challenging with a lot of like cool stuff. Reminded me a lot of, I think it's Leyendell Capital. When you first go there, it just seems like really vast, and there's a lot of labyrinths from above and below. Kind of reminded me of that. And by the time you eventually get through, you are met with this sort of like, you've seen this like character before. It almost looks like there's a person underneath it wearing a lion costume. So there's this big cat,
and this is the divine beast that they were talking about.
Is a friggin' nightmare, dude. And yeah, I think I was actually on the boss, because I also did not want to get spoiled too much. I just stuck it out. I didn't do summons. I didn't do any spirits or anything like that. I was just like, I'm just gonna figure this out. And I got him as close to like 15%.
This is too funny that he said that. He was like, I didn't use any summons, I didn't use anything special. And then literally like the day, I don't know if this is his direct footage, but this is pretty hilarious that like literally when you get into the fight, do you just see a summon right there?
I might have spent 60 to 90 minutes on this boss, dude. It was legit ridiculously tough. Lots of different phases. I think he has 4 different phases. I don't want to go into too many spoilers. They gave us footage of it so I can at least show it off, but it was,
and that's hard too. Whatever this is here, that's tough.
Insanely hard. I will say, at some point it was like, okay, we only got 30 minutes left. This boss is being an Elden Ring boss, so I am going to just call a summon and call a spirit and see how it goes. And yeah, it died. Like, you know, like it was not even that hard. So this is a really difficult boss fight, because it's got huge attacks that are very disjointed from where it is, which is just the name of Elden Ring. A lot of consecutive attacks, which is also another Elden Ring stipulation when it comes to a lot of its bosses, and you really got to learn the patterns of this stuff. So I'm fairly confident that when this comes out, I'm not going to use any of that. We're just going to tackle this, you know, straight up. But this,
I wonder how far you have to get in order to get to this boss, because obviously this is one of like the main bosses, the major one. So if Maximilian said he spent 60 to 90 minutes on it, that means TBH is spending a minimum of 4 hours.
This was a difficult boss fight, really, really difficult, where it almost reminds me of the, I think it's the Malekith boss fight, but even harder, where it's just like, man, this
I
guy's
hated
jumping all
Malekith,
over
bro.
the place. What
Malekith
the
was
hell
a
do I do?
bitch.
So I was impressed by it, and you know, I was also frustrated by it, as you should be. But still, I'm anticipating there's probably going to be stuff that is equally, if not harder, than that throughout the rest of the DLC. I just have a funny feeling. The other thing that seems very cool is environmental variety. And as we got a pretty good idea that
like, what are these things, yo?
and traversing through and
Worms are back.
It's pretty
They're like
damn
ghost
big.
worms.
There's also a lot of different looking locales throughout this DLC, and if anything's anything, I talked about this before when we were talking about the trailer. The DLC for a lot of FromSoft games kind of defines that game. It sort of is like, you know, the icing on top of the cake that is the initial experience. That's the same thing for Dark Souls 3, for Bloodborne especially, and, you know, I think it might also be the case for Elden Ring. But if there's only one caveat, I gotta say, based on what I played so far, and admittedly, that is only a portion, a small portion of what is going to be in the DLC, I didn't feel like this was an absolute massive shakeup in ways that maybe some previous DLCs kind of have.
See what Nintendo did that was Elden.
The scope of what we have experienced is still, like I said, substantially mitigated. We don't know exactly how much is going to be here, how modifying it's going to be to your abilities, all that kind of stuff, how much stuff is going to change. At least from what I played, kind of just felt like, oh, we get more Elden Ring. It's just like another continent. Granted, you know, you have to go through the Moog thing in order to make it all happen. It sort of like acts like a painted world situation where you travel to this place disconnected from the main map. But who knows? That could change. That might not be the case by the time you play through this thing. And I'm hoping for surprises. I think that's the one thing I'm looking forward to the most, which is why I'm also kind of happy that I just stuck with one area specifically and just messed around with a whole bunch of weapons. I want to be surprised.
Here's a throwing daggers.
All over again.
Daggers.
Not knowing things in
that's definitely an intelligence attack, but that's fire. That's fire though. I like it.
Is an incredibly valuable commodity because we're all gonna know everything after a week. Everyone's gonna know everything about how to beat every boss and every secret thing and every invasion and every yada yada. We're gonna know all this stuff, but there's this wonderful sweet spot. And I've done this many times, going all the way back to Dark Souls 2 of streaming and making content for all these games where people just don't know shit. And I experienced that a little.
Y'all see that, man? That's the martial arts where I was like, oh my goodness. Oh, like you really out here, man, with the hands. Like doing straight kung fu, man.
A little bit at this event, but I did not want to experience all of it. So again,
I mean, like Fang on Tekken.
You know, it was just a lot more weapons, a lot more enemy variety, a lot cooler looking visuals and stuff. I can't wait to run it on my own computer because we were running on laptops. And it just really.
Bandai, why y'all give them laptops, bro? Why y'all give them laptops? Like, shame on y'all, Bandai Namco. Shame on y'all. Like, why y'all give them laptops? All right, we'll play it. We'll play it again, so you can see.
At this event, but I did not want to experience all of it. So again, a lot of cool stuff.
Oh, sorry.
It was just a lot more weapons, a lot more every invasion and every yada yada. We're gonna know all this stuff, but there's this wonderful sweet spot. And I've done this many times, going all the way back to Dark Souls 2 of streaming and making content for all these games where people just don't know shit. And I experienced that a little bit.
That's so fire, bro.
I did not want to experience all of it. So again, a lot of cool stuff. You know, it was just a lot more weapons, a lot more.
Wasn't getting a beef went away like 30 pounds, yeah.
Visuals and stuff. I can't wait to run it on my own computer because we were running on laptops. And it just really felt like more of what everyone considers to be.
And that's the these are the spears here. So it's looking like you don't need to, because at first, I mean, the axe throwing. So what I thought here when I first saw that, I thought that it was going to be like you throw the axe and then like it comes back or something, or you got to retrieve it. But it looks like you have like not an infinite number. Maybe we'll see. I don't know if this is like a main weapon or if this is like just a throwable, like something you just pick up. So we'll see.
To be one of the greatest games of all time, which isn't a bad thing at all. Either way, I'm super excited for it. I'm going to be starting up another Elden Ring playthrough, getting in.
Bro, do y'all see that? Like he said, like this is cool. Like these have to be like other like weapon types here. Like that is super cool.
Of what everyone considers to be one of the greatest games of all time.
Like, and he got to jump and throw it too.
Either way, I'm super excited for it. I'm going to be starting up another Elden Ring playthrough, getting in the New Game Plus so we can make it a little bit harder when we get into the DLC. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed some of this stuff, I'll be back with a more full playthrough.
Then these are like the missed attacks here.
We do start up the Elden Ring playthrough on Twitch.
Checking at PSP 3.
Nice high quality.
If it gets confirmed, I still don't know.
Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. If you like this stuff, I appreciate a thumbs up below. I'll be back with that fresh experience as we
looking more like secure. Yep.
As much of the game as possible without knowing shit, because that is some of the most fun in this entire industry, in my opinion. As always, dudes, thanks a ton for watching. My name is Max, and I'll see you next time.
He still ain't die. So that's it, man. That's the preview from Maximilian. So that's dope, man. Like I said, I love what I've seen. I love what I've seen so far, man. We have 2 more weeks. I cannot wait. Like I said, it's gonna be some interesting things that we're all gonna be able to do once we discover it. But the martial arts, I think that's what got me. The martial arts part and the dual wielding blades in the beginning. I think those are 2 that we've seen so far from the previews that like I'm really intrigued. And both of those look like they're more dexterity. And when I did a respecking, I made a strength and faith build. So we'll have to see. Because they're new weapon types too. So like I said, I don't know how they're going to scale overall. Maybe we'll have some more some more attributes that we can do. So like I said, the possibilities are endless, but we'll see, man. They didn't even care for the PSP and the Vita, so I don't think now. Did you talk about you could? Nah, not yet. I'll talk. I'm literally about to get to it. Because that fight style begin. What up, Dooms?